Welcome to ProjectME, the podcast. I'm your host, Tiffany Carter, the founder of ProjectME, multimillionaire entrepreneur, former TV newscaster, money-making expert, female empowerment speaker, and self-proclaimed office supply addict. My mission is to take the mystery out of making big money. Every week on ProjectME, the podcast, I'll share success tips, strategies, and stories from other entrepreneurs, experts, and millionaires, showing you exactly how you can achieve your most exceptional life. Now let's get to it. Exciting announcement for all of my listeners. I've officially opened my exclusive group, the ProjectME Passive Income Posse, to the public. This group is by application only, so we can keep the group high vibe and spend our time, energy, and expertise only helping those of you who truly want massive success and impact. You get live weekly trainings from me, special guest coaches, and direct access to me and my business partner for all of your questions. To learn more and apply, go to projectmewithtiffany.com, click on Work With Me, and select ProjectME Posse. And of course, any questions, feel free to DM me at ProjectME with Tiffany. Welcome to the podcast and posse, ProjectME with Tiffany Carter, and I'm your host, Tiffany. Today, if you guys aren't getting enough leads for your business and you know you need more eyeballs on your stuff and you've tried everything and you don't know what the hell to do, I've got you covered. So if something isn't working, you guys, you need to try something fresh and different and be open-minded instead of sitting there churning and churning and churning and obsessing and wondering why things aren't working. So I brought on today a Facebook group growth strategist. She's also the founder of Deliver Your Genius. This is Christina Jandali, and she is going to tell you how to get it done. And guess what, you guys? It's free on top of it. What's up?
Hey, thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for coming on while you're on vacation. This is like the power of the laptop lifestyle, right?
Isn't it? Exactly. Doesn't matter where you are. You can still hop on. Yeah.
So first, for people, who aren't familiar with you, like help us understand your journey a little bit. I know you told me before we hopped on that you've been, in business for 5 years. So what made you get into this whole thing?
So it all started actually, I was working in finance, and I'd spent near 15 years building up a career in the world of finance. And I had all the boxes checked in my life. So I had, the husband, a baby on the way. I had all of the things that you think that you want: money in the bank, the house, all of the things that you think that you're building up over time to create this space for. And yet there was still part of me that felt unfulfilled, that felt unhappy, that was like, what is this for? What's the point? Like, what's missing? And a baby on the way. And then when my daughter was born, I remember holding her in my arms in the hospital and looking down at her and just wanting the world for her, wanting all the possibility for her. And it really hit me that I wasn't living that at all myself. And, it's easy to say one thing and do another thing, but I knew that if I wanted to lead by example to her, that I had to show her what it looked like, not say what it looked like, but actually show what it looked like to follow my dreams and go after something that I wanted to do that was meaningful to me. And I wasn't quite sure what that was at the time, but I knew it wasn't what I was currently living. And so I made a commitment to her in that moment that I was going to pave the way of possibility for her and show what it was like to go after something unapologetically, in spite of fear. And so I'd love to say that's everything changed right then and there and everything was done, but it didn't quite happen that way. But it was the beginning. And it wasn't until, a second baby later that I started to realize, what it was I meant to be doing in the world. And I started dabbling. I started serving people. I started working with financial advisors and helping them grow and scale their teams and grow to multi-seven-figure businesses, because that was my background. And then I just started realizing that was so in the box, and I wanted to be outside of the box and have a lot more freedom, and started working with business owners and putting it to the test, what I had known in the financial space, but applying it to different types of business, and gradually sort of evolved into what it was. But I found that I really missed the personal connection with people when I started. I'm like, okay, I'm going to build my email list and I'm going to go to these networking events. And I thought, geez, this is painful. Like, this is really slow. And I was just thought like, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way. And what was I missing? And when I looked back at what had created a lot of success for me in the corporate space was relationship building. And I felt like I was really missing that in the online space. I would send out an email and it was like one-sided conversation. I'd send something out and I'd kind of wait to hear back from someone. And I didn't know who they were. I didn't know what they were thinking. And so it felt really cold to me. And I thought, well, how could I do this in the online space? And that's when I started looking into and seeing like, I want to be able to create a community and I want to have like, connection with these people. So I started my free Facebook group. And at the time I'd been struggling to have like a 5-figure month. I really wanted to get there. And then the month that I opened my free Facebook group, I had a $30,000 month and it was like cash in the bank. And I was like, okay, I'm onto something. So that's kind of how I got to where I am today.
Now I understand your affinity for Facebook. Cause my loyal listeners, you guys know, I'm like, I'm on team Instagram. I don't hate Facebook. I mean, I use Facebook ads and all that. It's just, I feel like people have an affinity of one or over the other. And I can see why you have such an affinity for Facebook because it's working for you.
Yeah, absolutely. It completely is like a big shift that changed for me as soon as I started to be able to create deeper connections with people and see people. And it was in my element for sure. And things just moved rapidly since starting it. So then people wanted to know, like, what are you doing? How are you doing this? And that's when I started to teach what I was doing inside of my group and to be able to build out the audience so quickly and to be able to turn it into paying clients as well.
Now, did you have like prior knowledge of digital marketing or the inner workings of Facebook prior to starting your first Facebook group?
I mean, I had like an itty bitty list, but it was really, it was quite painfully slow. I remember I would go to networking events because I thought, oh, maybe I'll do speaking. And I would go to networking events and I'd gather business cards and I'd enter their information into my computer and I'd be like adding one, couple names at a time. And I remember setting up an opt-in page thinking somehow I had this idea that miraculously people would land on this page, enter their information, and poof, I would have an email list. It didn't quite happen that way.
Nope. Just like everything else in life, you gotta work for that shit.
You do. Yeah. So I soon realized. So, I mean, I had started dabbling and starting to build things up. I don't think I had I didn't have a website yet at the time. I was, starting to build the email list. I was starting to learn the language of digital marketing, online marketing, but it was still fairly new to me.
So is this the same group you have today, like with Deliver Your Genius? Is this the same group you started with initially?
So the first group that I started was Sassy Successful Entrepreneurs.
Oh, that's a fun name.
Yeah. And that's where it began with that group. That group's still open, although we hid the group and we turned it to secret for a while in the sense of, because there's a couple strategies that I teach when it comes to Facebook groups. And one is having a long-term Facebook group and others is pop-up Facebook group, which is like a kind of like fun. It's a fling for a short amount of time. It creates a ton of energy and then it closes down. So two different ways of being able to approach it.
So what is your long-term Facebook group now that people can check out?
Sassy Successful Entrepreneurs.
Okay. So that would be like your group that you don't seem like you don't actively promote it as much anymore, but that's the one you've had for 5 years, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So let's get into it because people are like, Tiffany, shut the hell up. And what the hell is a Facebook pop-up group? Don't worry. I've got you. Okay. So I've been in digital marketing a long time and I've never heard of that term. So I'm fascinated. First off, let me ask you this. I know a lot of people listening have created Facebook groups and they have like 19 people in them or 217 people. And they do show up and go live and they do feel like they're putting in really good content. So let's start there. Like, what's the problem? And they do, and they do have cute names. I mean, some of them are my clients where, they have cute names, they have nice graphics, they do show up and nothing's happening.
Well, I mean, there's a few things that happen. And I would say that the biggest thing is is recognizing what type of posts that you need to be having, like what kind of content is going to be creating not only value, but leading people towards something. So I like to liken it to thinking like you're laying the breadcrumbs and you're orchestrating. The one thing that's fabulous with the Facebook group is you get to orchestrate the journey from the time that someone first joins your group to the experience that they get to have inside of your group. And so you get to orchestrate that journey for them and lay the breadcrumbs for the steps that you want them to take. Where a lot of people go wrong is they want to give so much, right? Like so many people are in this digital space and transformational space because they desire to make a difference for people. They want to help people, and they've got a lot of knowledge and know-how in their zone of genius, their area of expertise, and they just want to give it all away because they want to serve people and they want to help people.
Oh my God, that's everyone listening right now. Okay, go ahead.
Yes. But the trouble is what happens is if you want to pour out all that information to people and you want to give them how-tos and you want to give them tips, what happens over time is think of it as like a splatter of paint kind of being thrown across the wall and hoping for someone to know how to piece it all together. So it's like thinking about putting a bunch of information out there and then leaving people more confused than ever, that they don't know where to start, because people, they're not looking for more information. They don't want more information. They're really searching for clarity. They're searching for clarity as to like what they specifically need to do next and how they can get to the result that they desire, how they can have that transformation that they're looking for in the quickest, easiest path to get there. And so one of the biggest mistakes I see people making is pumping out tons of how-to content. And what that does is it leaves people look at it and be like, oh, that's great. Oh, I'm going to save that. Okay, there's 5 steps to, X, Y, 5 steps to boost engagement in your Facebook group, and then there'll be another thing saying, let's say 5 steps to your first enrollment conversation. And then you have another, so you're thinking about putting it all, and all this content's valuable, but then in the wrong context at the wrong time, it's not serving the person, the individual. And so what happens is people will save that, they'll save the post, but think about like how many times have you saved a post and actually gone back to do anything with it?
I was just thinking that when you said it. I mean, I've saved, because you can save on Instagram too, all the time. I mean, all the time.
Right. And then what happens is then you have a smorgasbord of information that you've got saved, and it weighs on, it's like creates all of these mental open loops in someone's mind. And so they have all of this information that are open loops in their mind, which feels overwhelming, which feels like there's so many things to do, which feels like they can never get ahead of the curve. So that rather than, and then they get confused, and a confused mind never buys. A confused mind doesn't move forward. They sit like a deer in headlights, confused, searching, wondering, and then consuming more content, which leaves them more confused than ever. So pumping out a ton of how-to content is like the killer of engagement, because it doesn't require engagement. It doesn't require conversation. It's like, oh, great, I'll save that. Oh, great, this is great information. I'll come back to it later. Oh, I don't need to make an investment. I don't need to take the next step because I already have all this information. I just need to actually do it. But that's not the thing that's keeping them stuck. And it's providing like a Band-Aid solution for something where it's giving someone this, it's not getting to the root cause of what's creating the problem. It's just giving them a Band-Aid solution so they think that they're fixed or that they're okay, but really it's not. It's sort of skimming over what they really need to be aware of. And so helping create content that actually defines and creates clarity and creates curiosity and speaks into highlighting pain points and actually getting to the root cause and helping identify what's really going on underneath the surface, why they're having these symptoms and what's really going on, and uncovering that for themselves so they can see it, and then orchestrating the journey of those breadcrumbs for them to want to take. So it's not like splattered information everywhere, but it's like they can clearly see, okay, this is here's the problem, here's the solution. Now, great, after this is the next thing that's going to come up for you. And then that can lead into your offer, your paid program. So it's clearly defined as the next step for them to take if they're ready to actually, have a change, if they're ready to take it to the next level.
So give us an example. Like, it would be helpful you gave us like maybe 2 examples of the types of content that you've seen over, over your 5 years, and lots and lots and lots of case studies, and you experimenting yourself. This is why I always love working with people and hiring people with many years experience because they have failed many times and you've experimented many times. So, like, I know this doesn't work and this works, and maybe you try something else new and you're like, oh, that doesn't work. So what are like a couple examples of types of content that seem to do really well in these groups?
Yes. So three types of content. So one is what I call engagement content, but it's purposeful engagement content. So there's a difference. Otherwise, people get stuck in what I call the engagement bubble. So let me explain that for a minute. When you're searching for, because I know sometimes it's like, well, I don't want to speak on my own. I want to get likes. I want to get comments. I want to have like those ego metrics that make us feel good, right? I mean, I still, even though I know better, I still have those moments sometimes, right? We all have it. And so when we focus on ego metrics, we focus on creating content that's not really, moving someone forward. So purposeful engagement is evoking desire, or it's evoking curiosity in someone that's allowing them to move forward. So questions like, let's say one type of purposeful engagement would be like market research questions, so that you can ask a question finding out about how they feel about something you've got going on. So let's just say, for example, I was going to ask someone, how do you feel about the engagement in your Facebook group? It's a fantastic way to get a lot of response from people and create a safe place for people to be able to share, because they know that they're not alone, right? And everyone else is feeling different things. Plus, it gives you a whole ton of language in your ideal client's language that you get to use when you share your content in the future. So let's say I did a post saying, how do you feel about engagement in your Facebook group? And, let's say a majority of people said like, oh my gosh, it's non-existent and I'm completely embarrassed. Like, I feel like I'm talking to myself all the time. I'm talking to crickets. It feels like no one's ever paying attention. So then I could take that later and say, does it feel like you're talking to crickets? Like, it feels like you're the only one speaking. You can hear a pin drop inside of your Facebook group and you're a little bit embarrassed that from the outside looking in, what are people going to think? Because no one's responding to the post that you're putting out. So I could then take what they shared with me in this post and then lean into the next thing. So now it's taken, and they're like, wow, like, how did you get in my head? That's exactly what I was thinking, because that they were able to share that with me. So you have the opportunity to be able to do the same thing and ask the same type of questions, so that you can take that information, and rather than, it's not giving more information, it's creating a connection and context for you to be able to have that understanding with your people. So that would be like one type of an engagement post that is purposeful. It's not just being done for the sake of being done. Another example of this is like a little game. It's a fun one for engagement as well. And I call it 3 truths and a lie. So you share 3 facts about yourself that are true, and then 1 thing that is a lie. And then you invite people to guess, like, which one is the lie. And it's just fun. It's a game. People play along and they get to guess, and then they get to play along and say 3 truths about themselves in 1 line. And then you'll have this long thread of people playing this game that get to participate in it. So it's really quite fun. But from the outside looking in, people would just say, oh, like, wow, Christina did a post on this 3 truths and a lie, and there's hundreds of comments. Like, I should do something like this. But I didn't just do it for the sake of engagement. I purposely planted information into that post that I wanted people to be aware of and know about me, so that I could create a deeper connection with my audience.
Right. It's their building. It's a trust building, because you're revealing, some more intimate, things about yourself, right?
Yes, exactly. So I shared some things that were quirky about myself. And one of the things that I put in, let's say, for example, of one of these posts that I've done that was a lie, was saying that I made $10,000 my first month of business. And I put that in there because I wanted people to know that, because it's easy looking online and seeing, oh, wow, like headlines and so-and-so's doing this and they're an overnight success. And they did that. And it's like, well, that didn't quite happen for me that way.
Yeah.
And by sharing that, it was being able to say, like, no, it was a journey and it took me a while, and it was trial and error before I was able to, finally feel like I was starting to create some momentum. So people had the opportunity, and many people thought that that was a lie, because they just assumed that I had it all together and I got it figured out and it was easy for me, and that I had just, magically somehow created everything epically overnight and everything was fine. And so using this, if we take a look at, sometimes we take a look at what other people are doing and think, oh, I want to do this for my business. But if we don't if it's like the tip of the iceberg, and if we don't really know what's going on beneath the surface or why someone's doing something or the reason of the positioning between what the content they're putting in, they're missing the opportunity.
I'm looking up your Sassy Successful Entrepreneurs. By the way, you guys, she has 8,000 members. I wanted to look it up so that I had a reference point to, oh, of course I can't look because I have to join the group. And I have to answer questions. Okay, well, I'll do that later. I'll join your group later, of course. All of you marketers. Just kidding. I am one. Okay. So I love these two things. One is, engagement type posts, asking questions. The other one, is kind of like a trust building, but it's fun. So are you kind of like not into a lot of people, post inspirational quotes? They do, long form copy, like you said, not just how-tos, but maybe like tips, stuff like that. Basically what you're saying is that shit doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. It's filler.
It's because what I see people doing, and this happens across all businesses. You and I have very similar stories. It's so weird how the universe like connects us. Because I didn't know who you were. You came across my feed. It captured my attention. And then I just trust in the divine. And I was like, first off, I love Canadians. Like half my listeners are Canadian. It's like, I freaking love my Canadians. But I was like, what is it that she is doing that's different? Because what I notice is people just slap stuff up there. They do it in Instagram too, but especially with Facebook groups, because it's another thing. We all have tons of platforms. We have Pinterest, we have Twitter, we have LinkedIn, we have Instagram, we have Instagram stories, we have IGTV, we have YouTube. There's so many things, and they get to this group, this Facebook group that they've titled like Business Babes Gone Wild, or, Butterflies and Business Babes, all these names sound all the same to me. And then you guys either repurpose content that people can get on other, platforms of yours, or you guys slap up, quotes or, random stuff. And what she's saying is that's not going to fly.
It just doesn't work in the way that I like to look at, thinking about a Facebook group as well as think about like your business page on Facebook is like your storefront. Like think about your business page being your storefront. So it's the place where you're sending people somewhere, you're directing them somewhere, coming on to Instagram, coming on to a webinar, coming on to a training, you're sending them somewhere. And your Facebook group is like come on inside. It's like, come on in the store. Let's get to know each other. Let's have the opportunity to connect. And you can post inspirational posts out of your yin yang, but it's not going to move people forward, and it just ends up being filler content. And so I find that a lot of people waste a lot of time thinking that they need to keep up with this perpetual content creation mode of constantly putting stuff out. And that somehow is going to be able to somehow lead directly into creating a buyer and into creating desire for their offer. And it just simply doesn't do it. Nope.
So aside from content, are there other, I'll just use the word hacks, strategies in terms of naming a group, in terms of like the banner graphic you use that garner more people to find the group in of itself? Because there's so many groups now. It's so noisy, and so many of them have similar names. Even though yours 5 years ago, this Sassy Successful Entrepreneurs, that was fresh shit 5 years ago. But now if I saw that, you're one of like God knows how many that have like a cutesy name with entrepreneur on the end of it. So how do people find groups in an easier way amongst all the sea of groups out there?
So one of the things with finding a group is that the name should actually have something in the name that people would search for in the term. So even though there may be names that people are using repetitively for groups, having a word in your group, like in the title of your group, that is something that people would search for, allows it to be found easier. It allows it for people to, like when they're searching for something specifically, it allows them to organically land on the group. The one challenge when it comes to, I would say with your name of your group, it should be named after who your ideal clients are currently, like today, or who it is that they desire to become. So your Facebook group name, based on who people are or who they desire to become. Because if you start using a lot of cutesy names of, changing things around, people don't really clearly know like who it's for. And that's where the banner really comes in. Your banner needs to clearly state like what people can expect to get out of your group. Like what will they gain from the group? And not only that, but you also want to use your Facebook group as a means for building your email list. So the banner is a great opportunity to even use it as like it's high value real estate. People see it, whether they're in your group or not, it's high value real estate. So it's your opportunity to have your title and to have a tagline or even have a call to action to get on your email list if you're currently running a promotion for something or you have a free gift. Because ultimately, I love Facebook groups. It's something that I teach, but you still want to own the asset, meaning that you still want to pull people off of the platform, get their email address so that you have the opportunity to market to them on more than one platform. And so your Facebook group should also be building your email list for you. It's one of the fastest, easiest ways to be building your email list organically as well, but making sure that all roads are leading to it, which comes down to, so we talked about the content for engagement. The second type of content is lead generation content, meaning that you're pulling people off and you're having them raise their hand to get something. You're having them self-select, and you want to make sure that you're highlighting, having your members highlight who has an interest in what it is that you're offering. You're having people self-select. You're having them raise their hand. You're having them take an action. So you're training your people to be action takers as well. So pulling them off and creating content that you get to generate leads, and they have the opportunity to be able to market to them on both platforms. Because you know what? The reality is social media platforms are going to change. In 10 years from now, it's probably going to look different than what it's currently looking like currently. So the only way that you get to really maintain long-term assets is to be able to pull people off and build your email list at the same time. So I think it's really important of recognizing that you're pulling people off the platform and giving them the opportunity to get on your email list.
And when you say pulling people off, and I'm assuming what you mean is offering them some sort of a freebie. Yes. Where they have to opt in, meaning give their name and email in order to receive a free training, a free downloadable something, right?
You got it. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. And you can do it directly, having them go to a link. You can have them self-select and comment below, and you can reach out to people. I mean, I also think too that, we're starting to see a shift in the online industry, and we're moving away from, I think there was so much movement towards automation and disconnection and sort of these gurus that were holier than thou and bigger than the life and bigger than the world. And even on Instagram, the platform's shifting, and people want real human to human connection. They want real people, like the real pictures. They want to see behind the scenes. They want to be brought in. And so the opportunity with Facebook groups as well to create that deeper connection with people, to have that one-to-one connection, or what I even call, like in a Facebook group, you can create leverage connection. So let's say there's someone inside of your Facebook group and you're coaching them through something. Maybe something's coming up for them. They're asking a question and you're coaching them through. Every single person in that group has the opportunity to experience what the journey that you just brought that person through by scrolling through the feed, because there's a lot of people in your group that are lurkers that may not comment and they may not like, but they're watching everything that it is that you're doing. And those people are often the people that are your buyers.
Yeah. I mean, and I can say myself, I did that before I started, ProjectME with Tiffany Carter just over a year ago. I already had, as you guys know, my other business in medical pharmaceutical marketing. That's why I'm laughing, because what's more boring than pharmaceuticals and finance?
I know.
And I had the same conversation, extremely successful with it, all the things, just no human babies. But I was just like, there's got to be something more. I'm very grateful for all of it. And I still have the company, but there has to be something more. So let's get into this whole Facebook pop-up strategy that you teach, because I know this long-form Facebook group that can start feeling uninspired after a while, right? Most entrepreneurs are multi-passionate, and it's like, unless that group is really engaged, it can start, it's like a restaurant. unless it's like amazing and a landmark. You guys noticed restaurants have, every few years they go out of business or they have to do a full remodel. It's not fresh and sexy anymore. So tell us about this pop-up Facebook group strategy of yours.
Yeah. So first off, I would always like to say is starting with a long-term group is the best place to start in my experience, because you want to master a skill set before you start putting yourself in the experience of moving quickly. So I think it's important to at least get started with building up the group and starting to master the skill set of bringing people in and being able to move people towards your paid offers. But pop-up group is actually the strategy that I use in my business now. And so what it is that you open a Facebook group for a very short period of time. So for example, when I first started my first group, I think we got to about 2,500 members in about 3 months time.
Oh my God, that's great.
We moved fast and we had a lot of rapid growth. And so we started moving really fast. In a pop-up group, within 1 to 2 weeks, we're able to get that same number of members coming in. And we will see something like 20 to 30,000 post engagements, reactions, meaning comments, likes, views. People are viewing videos from 2,000 to 3,000 people, and we'll see 30,000 reactions in the group in just a matter of a couple of weeks from having a pop-up group strategy. So when it's done well, it's highly, highly engaged. People are excited. It grows rapid fire, and it's only open for a short period of time. So it's in conjunction with a launch that you get to bring people through to your paid offer. So you invite people to come in. There's a lot of excitement. So the doors open and poof, everyone starts pouring in. There's a very specific series of things that you'll bring people through. So one example is like running a 5-day challenge inside of this group. So you're bringing people in, people are getting excited, they're getting to know each other. You run a free 5-day challenge. At the end of it, you go into a masterclass or a webinar, and then your sales sequence, and then the group closes. Your cart closes, the group closes, it's done. And then we archive the group, and people always say to me, "You're crazy. Like, you open a group and you have 2,000 to 3,000 people that come in, and you open it for a couple of weeks. It's so engaged and so active." And I said, well, then my focus shifts into serving those that have said yes, that are continuing to move down the journey with us. And now we're moving over and turning our focus to our paying members that are coming into our program, so that I can best serve them and show up to serve those people. And the other group, they had their experience, they had a free training, they had a lot of wins along the way, and then that's it. The group's closed.
And you don't delete it like from existence on Facebook, you archive it.
We archive it. So then the next time we run the same promotion, we unarchive the group. We just change the banner in the group, let people know there's a new group, so they have the opportunity to hop into the new group and participate in the new training that we do.
And then you have to delete the prior trainings, right?
Yes.
That are in there. Otherwise,
exactly.
Interesting concept. I mean, I've seen the 5-day, the 3-day challenge. Now, do you, within that challenge, you're all leading right to whatever you're launching, but do you do any sort of leading for them to stay engaged with you guys and join your Sassy Successful Entrepreneurs, your long-term group? Or you don't bring up that group at all?
I never bring up that group anymore. In fact, we had hundreds of people that were pending to join recently, because we had changed the group to secret, and then we thought, well, we'll reopen it. Maybe we'll let people in. So it's not something that we actively promote. And like you were talking about, I mean, as your business changes too, it's like, okay, it's like an old married couple over over time. So the group's there, and we still use it as a container. But my energy and where I get really excited is in the pop-up groups. It's really fun. I'm actively in there every single day with people, so they really get to have the experience of what it's like to have to go through a couple of weeks, through a campaign, and then close down. So we don't actively promote the Sassy group at all. We still have members that are still coming in and joining, and we also clean up the group. We do a lot of culling.
So for your pop-ups, you said you spend like your energy and time there. Are you always having a pop-up that's open?
No. No, it's just when we're doing a launch, when we're running into a launch. So we'll open it for a campaign when we're selling something. So a few times a year, we'll open a group and run a pop-up group. But you can run a challenge inside a pop-up group. You can do a video series inside a pop-up group. You can do a series of master classes, weekly master classes in a pop-up group. I mean, all of these you can do in your regular main long-term group as well. And that's exactly what I did in the beginning. I did multiple challenges, multiple campaigns, and then shifted. And what happens as well is Facebook looks very favorably when the reason they'll start to show, you see on Facebook on the right hand side, it'll say recommended groups.
Totally.
So when you start having, what happens with a lot of groups where, things start to get dead is because if there's not consistent growth, and if there's not a lot of activity in the group, Facebook will not show your post to as many people. So when you have a pop-up group, things happen really fast. So there's a fast intake of new members coming in, and people are really excited. They're all there for one thing. And that's the big difference, is that they're all there for one specific training, one specific thing that they're looking for. So everyone's on the same page at the same time doing the same thing. And because of that, it naturally produces a ton of engagement and a ton of excitement, and your conversions as well for having this type of group as you're going through your sequence and leading into your offer. It massively increases your conversion rate on the back end of it too.
Yeah, that makes a great deal of sense. As my background is in digital marketing, so I can see how that works. The same is true for Instagram as well. Like, the more engagements your post has within that first half hour, that's what's crucial and what determines if they, show you. So for the long-term group, so to speak, do you still keep fresh content in there at this point, or no?
We do. We'll do some content in there, but it's really not our focus. Right. It's not top priority. So we'll share some content in there, and we'll have some activity and engagement, but it's self-engaged at this point as well in a lot of ways. So we'll have some fresh content, but we also use it as a container to lead people towards other things that we have going on. So if we have a pop-up group, then we use the group to filter people into the pop-up group. If we're doing trainings on, like, my Deliver Your Genius business page on Facebook as well, we'll direct people, or we'll share those trainings from the business page into the group. So it's used more as a container and opportunity to be able to, because there's created relationships with people in that group over the years.
So where do you get most of the traffic to find out and come into the pop-up group, aside from, your long-term standing group that has 8,000 people? Do you run Facebook ads that then tell people about this, let's just say as an example, this 5-day challenge inside this pop-up group? How are you getting these people in here this quickly?
So a few things. We use our email list, right? Directing people from our email list into the pop-up group. We'll use Instagram to lead people to there. We will use our blog to send traffic towards there. So any content that goes is directing people towards the pop-up group as well. We will use contests that will run contests where people will, an example of this might be on my business page, I might say, let's say, for example, 10 ways to boost engagement in your Facebook group. And on the business page, title it 10 ways to boost engagement in your Facebook group. I'll share 3 on my business page, and then I'll say, come get the rest of the 7 inside the Facebook group. Come on over into the group and get it. So we'll do like little teasers that way of directing people into there. We will use, multiple different social media platforms as well that we're using at the time. We will also use Facebook ads. Definitely, we run Facebook ads, but I don't send Facebook ads directly to the group. They go to an opt-in, and on the thank you page, we direct them to the group. So we've captured their email address, and then we direct them to the group. We also do, whenever I'm doing these campaigns as well, I always have people team up with an accountability partner. And so I would say we probably see about 25 to 30% of our members coming into the groups in this time as a result of invitation, because people are so excited to bring people. So when you get to create that experience people start to, the people want it. Like they want to bring their friends, and we encourage them, like, do it with an accountability partner. You start together, you finish together, you're by each other's side. And the relationships that people create is like these business besties that they get to create. So I've had people that have come into my group that have teamed up as an accountability partner, accountability pod. And then they've gone on to do my paid program. Then they've gone on to do another paid program together, and they stay together in this group, and they hold each other to a much higher level standard than just doing it on their own, but they're also sharing the experience with other people. So I find that it really gives them an edge, and it gives them a connection, because let's face it, I mean, having an online business, sometimes it feels a little lonely. It feels like you're by yourself a lot, right?
Totally. And I love that idea of an accountability partner, because it's sincere. You're not just saying it to get more people in the group. It actually does enhance, their results and their experience. I know my listeners will kill me if I don't ask you this. I just have this amazing way of channeling what they'll ask me, but it also has come from all the DMs I get of, why didn't you ask this? Why didn't you ask that? Is there a certain number of posts per day that you need to do in groups that works best? Can you do one a day? Of course, it's quality over quantity, but is there a certain amount that people need to be doing?
I used to, previously, I think before Facebook algorithms changed, more frequent posting was beneficial. But as long as in a pop-up group, we'll have a post usually each day, something that's coming up each day, a simple post, and that's it. I wouldn't do more than one per day. I think it's unnecessary, but everything needs to be purposeful. So I would rather have someone even skip a day and then have a post every other day and have it something that's really well thought out than just posting a quote because it's for the sake of posting a quote and having something in there. So I think everything needs to lead somewhere. And that's really the question, is when I'm posting this, what's the purpose? What's the outcome I want to get from this post? What am I really after? And if you don't have a clear intention or know what you're after in doing the post, don't do the post.
Right. Don't just do it as filler, because it never works.
Exactly.
I've done it before where I'm like, oh, I better put something up, and it's never works. It's like, what am I doing?
I know. Yeah, guilty. Same. I've made all of those mistakes.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. So for people who maybe don't even have a Facebook group, maybe they have a business page with a small following, their Instagram is really low. Where would you recommend they start? Because if they start with a pop-up group, unless they use paid traffic, how are they going to get people to take the challenge? Do you see what I'm saying?
Exactly. No, I hear you. So I don't recommend doing the pop-up group until you've established a baseline and you feel like you've mastered the ability to be able to be building your group and the opportunity to be able to lead people into an offer. So I usually say that if you're going to run a challenge or a campaign, that you should do 3 back-to-back before you make any other, expect to do 3, so that you can really start to nail it and master it. Some people might get it on the first try. I didn't get it on the first try. I didn't even make an offer at the end of my first challenge that I ran. I just thought, I want to give. And then I left people hanging and people started asking me, how can I work with you? And I realized, oh, yeah, I kind of missed that part. That's an important piece. So when I first started my Facebook group, when I was talking about doing those 2,500 members in 3 months, I ran 3 challenges back to back to back, I think over a 6-week period of time. So how do you get members in now becomes a question if I have a small following. So one great way of being able to do that is to put together an event. So you can have a 30-day giveaway event inside of your Facebook group where you're bringing other experts in that can be the expert for the day. So they get the opportunity to share with their audience. They have the opportunity to do a post letting them know that they're going to be interviewed or they're going to get featured. And so you could do a campaign where you have a 30-day themed giveaway where you're bringing in other people. So you're not even responsible for the content. Other people are creating the content for you, and they have the opportunity to share with their following as well. So you have the opportunity to get new members. It's a great way to kickstart a Facebook group and just start to generate some of the members. And as you start to have the members coming in, then Facebook will start to also put you on the recommended Facebook group list on that listing on the side as well. So people will start to organically build it. So it's a great way just at the beginning. That's a fun way. And a simple way as well is just reaching out and actually inviting people, starting off, like just making invitations. Sounds really basic, but my goodness, it works. That's one thing that I did in the beginning. Was like, okay, I'm going to have, I'm going to think of, okay, I'm going to have like 100 people. I want to have 100 people in, I think I said 48 hours. So my whole aim was 100 people in 48 hours. And it's not saying go and DM people and spam people and say like, come to the group. Is create connections with people that you've already established and invite them to come in, but give them a reason to join. Because coming to a group and you see more groups coming out there now, what's the reason? Like, what are they going to gain from it? What's in it for them? What are they going to get from it? And so a fun way of being able to do this is just to answer a top of mind question for your ideal client. So for example, we did before, this was when we first started our group. One of the things that I put in, people were asking a lot of questions, like, how do I have a script for a sales conversation? Was a question that kept coming up. And so all I did was a pinned post inside the group, basically saying like, here's an outline of an enrollment conversation. And so when people any of the sales posts that I talked about, or I reached out to people and have conversations with people, I'd let them know, hey, like if you want to get, they may have raised their hand in interest for sales related pieces before. There's a script inside the group. Just go ahead and join us. The pinned post, go check it out. And so it's just a really simple thing. Or you can post
that idea.
Yeah. So it's just simple. So it's like you could post a freebie inside the file section, and now you have a reason for people to join. You're giving them something. So it's always thinking like, what's in it for them?
Right. And not phoning it in. Like I keep telling people, like, don't just post to post. Like it needs to be strategic and your heart needs to be into it. Otherwise, you're wasting your time. It doesn't work. Believe me. You've done it. Like you said, I've done it. It doesn't work. So this is a lot of content to manage. I call it the content monster because you have to you want to be in that digital entrepreneur space and generate a lot of leads and sales online. I always like telling you guys like what the catch is. The catch is you have to have patience. You have to have perseverance, and you have to churn out a shit ton of high quality content. With all that you do, I am imagining you don't create all this content yourself anymore. Do you have help?
So we repurpose a lot of content. So I will do videos and I'll have someone pull out pieces of content from the video trainings that I've done. Or even I'll have my team, they'll listen to coaching calls and they'll take a piece, like one little snippet of something that was shared they thought was a highlight on a coaching call. So we're repurposing a lot of content that way, in the sense I'm not creating the posts, but I'm creating the content that's coming from, I do daily live streams on maybe the Deliver Your Genius page. And so
daily?
I've been on a mission. I've been doing them, although I'm on vacation. So I'm taking the week off.
Seriously, every single day? Like 7 days a week?
No weekends. I don't do weekends. Weekends are family time.
So you are going live. And does that really help you build your business page by going live every day?
It creates, so I started this, I used to do this once a year. And the reason why I started is I used to be so scared of video that to get over my fear, I thought, okay, I'm going to commit to doing 30 days in a row just to get over myself, so that forget the fear, do it anyways, get it done. By the time I finish 30 days, I'll be over it. And then I invited some of my Facebook group members at the time, like, do you want to do this with me? Because I'm scared. If you're scared, let's do it together. I'll give you a little prompt so you can do this. And then so every year I started doing this once or twice a year. I would do this over again and invite my audience to do it with me. So they would do 30 days of live streams. So I started doing it a couple months ago again. I thought, I'm going to do another run of 30 days of live streams. So I was doing it with my community. And then I just kind of continued on. So I'm not sure when we'll continue this on for, and when it's going to stop. But I just find it's easy for me to hop on a video and share something that's coming up or that I feel inspired to talk about, and then it creates a ton of content for us as well to be able to use.
It's saved. Now that content is saved, unless there's a fun Facebook glitch, which I've had that happen. I was like, but that video was amazing, and then it disappears. Yeah. But whatever.
Download them all.
Right. And so that's really a cool idea because it forces you, right, to get better on video, and it creates a lot of content that you can repurpose later in other ways, whether someone's transcribing it or not. So inside your groups, because you get so much engagement, are you spending hours a day responding to all the people? That's a lot.
So, and this is such a great question as well. And so even with the pop-up groups, we repurpose content. So we have used and reused, we'll massage and change languaging a little bit, but we'll use a lot of the same content. And the thing is, you guys, people forget, like after 3 months, people don't remember what was posted. So you don't need to, it's not always on the perpetual machine of creating the content, because you have the opportunity to weave in stuff that you've already created. So you're not reinventing the wheel all the time. And you have the opportunity to be able to like weave in that old, weave in that previous content as well. So I think it gives you the opportunity to be able to repurpose it, and without people, without people totally.
Right. I agree. It's like, with my workout, leggings, my fiance is like, oh my God, are those new? I'm like, they were repurposed from legging number 79 in the back of my closet.
Yes.
I'm like, that's when you know you have a lot of workout clothes. So do you go in, back to my question of, are you by yourself answering all of the people's questions and comments and those kind of things? Because that's a lot.
So when we have a pop-up group, I would say during the challenge, I probably spend an hour a day inside of the group engaging with people, and that's it. So as we're leading into it, the group self-feeds itself. So we'll use purposeful engagement questions and let people engage with themselves. I may have my social media manager and they're liking some comments or, tagging people, and she'll spend some time doing that. But when it comes to the actual challenge itself, I'll spend maybe an hour a day in there engaging with people, answering questions, being in there, communicating, talking to people. And then again, but then the group closes. It's a pop-up group. It's open. It's a short window. I go in there daily to support people for about 2 weeks. And then that's it. That's the end.
Mama's liking this plan. This sounds like a fun plan. So a lot of people, when they offer programs, okay, even after doing this 5-day challenge thing, right? They offer a program. Let's say it's your I'm just making something up, but let's say it's your signature course or something like that, right? They offer as a value add a free Facebook group just for the people who have bought the course or bought the thing. What is your take on that? Do you really feel that adds a lot of value? Is it worth the time and energy to give that in addition to?
It adds a ton of value. And I think that you need to be clear on two things. Is it going to be a community-led Facebook group? Or is it going to be you that's leading the charge on the Facebook group? And both are valuable in their own way, but it's getting clear on your priorities. And so if you're selling at a low price point, do you really want to be actively involved and engaged with supporting people in there? No. Right? Like, I mean,
no, I don't.
No, it's true, right? But when people, I know that for our Leading a Kick-Ass Facebook group program course, we have a lifetime access to the Facebook group. And it's so highly engaged. Everyone's supporting each other. So old members are in there, new members are in there. And it's not reliant on myself or my team to be supporting it. Everyone's giving feedback. Oh, check out this resource, or it's here, or I tried this. And what do you think about this? Or, people are openly sharing, and they're showing celebrations. And I think it gives people the opportunity that sometimes when you see what's possible for someone else, especially when you know where they started and you think, wow, if they can do it, I can do it too. Or on the flip side is like, geez, like, you know what, I'm having a really rough time and something's not working for me. And to know that you're not alone, and then there's other people that have felt that way before and they've been able to overcome it. So it feels like you're creating this community and connection and having this opportunity to be able to build relationships inside there.
So like when your launch is over and all the people have bought your course for this round, you might do a little bit of extra content, right, in your group, like welcoming everyone, all the new people, right? You might do something.
We'll do a little bit. And again, inside there as well, we encourage people accountability partner again. So I know I say this inside the free group, but inside the paid group as well for support is like, have your accountability partner be there to support each other every step of the way. And we'll do like a welcome post. We'll invite people to even record a short video. What had them join? Why did they say yes? Share an introduction to themselves. So they get the opportunity to get to know each other, but it's not, the time effort on our part is not that that it's not that great compared to like them supporting each other in there. It's more about leading the way so that they can engage with each other, that they can support each other. And we also set very clear thing is you need to train your people in the way that you want them to operate, the way that you want them to behave. And so one of the rules that we have in the group as well is give before you ask, because this isn't just a place of taking, and that you get to gain so much from serving and generosity and helping other people. And there's always a question or something that you can answer for someone else. So I encourage people to give before they ask and support other people and acknowledging them as well.
I love this. I know you guys have gotten a lot out of this. So do us a favor. I mean, this is worth thousands and thousands of dollars of knowledge right here. So take a screenshot of this episode, tag me at ProjectME with Tiffany. Also tag Christina Jandali. She's on Instagram, she's at Christina.Jandali. But if you, for some reason, are driving and can't remember, just tag me at ProjectME with Tiffany. You can also tag me on Facebook too at ProjectME with Tiffany. If you leave hers off, I'll repost and I'll tag her so she knows. But do that. Share this episode for someone who's not getting enough leads or enough eyeballs on their program, and they're putting in all the work, whether it's you, it's a business friend of yours. Share this episode as a great free resource. She just told you the damn way, you guys. Like, she just told you very clearly the way. And any questions you have, of course, DM me at ProjectME with Tiffany, and then I'll direct you to her if I can't answer them for you. How can people get more of you?
To hop over on Deliver Your Genius business page on Facebook. That's a great place. Like I would say, we've been doing live streams daily for the last while. So there's a ton of great trainings and content and videos on there. That's a great place to hop on and get to be able to dive into some trainings on Facebook groups and other pieces. So that's a great way. And then, like you said, on Instagram at Christina.Jandali as well. And if you, for those of you that want to know like more steps in regards to like how to actually grow your group and find out some of the things that we did, we've got a checklist available for you as well.
Oh, awesome. How do they get the checklist? Do they go, she's having a coughing attack? That happens to me when I talk a lot. So if you want to have access to this free checklist that she's made for you guys, just go over to her Facebook group, which is Deliver Your Genius. Join the Facebook group, and you can even drop it in comments, drop it in comments or message her and say, like, I heard you on the ProjectME with Tiffany Carter podcast. I really want that checklist, and they'll make sure they send you the link to the checklist. It's so generous of you. Thank you. Thank you so much for doing that and for coming on and sharing your wealth of knowledge. I learned so much myself, and maybe I don't hate Facebook as much anymore.
I love it.
You guys might be seeing a free Facebook group possibly in my future, most likely a pop-up, but you guys might be seeing something. I'm warming up to it. You've convinced me today.
I love it. I get to celebrate.
Thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Bye. If you enjoyed this podcast, please write a 5-star review on iTunes. Not only will this make me super happy, but it will allow more listeners to find our special show. Simply help me help others.